Hi everyone, Curtis here from Goth Rider Creations, and in today's episode we're going to get started on making the fretboard. Stay tuned. So, a few changes since the last time you saw me, other than the slightly croaky throat. I think I'm coming down with something. Hopefully you should notice that the screen size should be a lot bigger. I've actually managed to get a new camera, and by new I mean eBay second-hand special. But this should now mean that I've got the screen set fully, so rather than the tiny little box we had before, hopefully you should see things a little bit better. I'm not saying a word. And yeah, I've kind of also gone for the summer plumage. This is what goths look like in the summer, by the way. Yeah, no, full face of hair is not the way to go. In the summer, yeah, you definitely don't need lots of hair. And I'm not saying anything about that either. Right, so let's get cracking. So what we've done is I've gone a little bit ahead, because you don't need to see me cutting more slivers of wood. Yeah. So what I've done is I've cut a load of little bits of the balsa, and what I've done is I've added a little extra strip on there. That's the thin stuff I've been using, and that is a tiny 3mm strip, and then that way when we put all of the pieces together we get a nice uniform gap in between them all. So I've also covered each piece in super glue, so when it comes to sanding, hopefully we've got half a chance of not sanding straight through the wood and leaving everything else where it is. Plan being, we're going to get all of these glued together all into one strip. We'll get it cut to the size of the fretboard that we need, and then we are going to infill these gaps. Right, so that's that part done. We've now got all the strips in there, and all we're going to do is just literally cut along the template that I made, which is an exact replica of the fretboard from the existing S-type as the template. So we'll get that cut out now, and then we can start sorting out the infill. Right, that was fun. Right, so there we go. So That's all cut. We've got about 1 mil on each edge and a little bit more at the top because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with the nut yet. So we've now got that, and we're going to fill it with resin. Now, I have some pouring resin, but I'm not pouring it in the house. Mrs. Gothrider is a wonderfully understanding lady, but if I get resin on her carpets, I'm not entirely sure you're ever going to see the end of this guitar. Because, well, let's just say all the work I did with the shed, there's a perfect area next to it with slightly disturbed soil that I'll probably end up disappeared into, so we're not going there. So I've been looking at other options, and I've come up with this. I've only seen it recently. I've been using Gorilla Glue for quite a while, but this is Gorilla Clear, clear non-foaming. Now, I did a quick little test piece the other day, and it doesn't foam, which is brilliant. So I've used this before, I know how strong it can be, so I'm going to try it. I don't know how strong it's going to be. I'm hoping it will be as strong as the foaming stuff, but the fact it doesn't foam, I don't know if it's going to have a slightly elastic property to it. But considering how soft the balsa wood is anyway, it's worth a try. So yeah, I am going to go around this thing, make a very temporary mould. All I'm going to use are tongue depressors that I've cut the ends off of, and my personal favourite is vinyl flooring repair tape. Now, you can actually use pretty much any tape for resin work. Everyone seems to think that you have to use that red Tyvek tape. Now, don't get me wrong, that stuff's awesome, but unless you're making professional moulds, it's a little bit overkill. So yeah, generally, old school clear sellotape. My personal favourite is brown tape, old school parcel tape. Resin doesn't stick to it, epoxy doesn't stick to it, polyester, the only thing that sticks to it as far as I'm aware is superglue. So yeah, most tapes will actually work. The only one that doesn't work in my experience very well is the aluminium tape, and everyone seems to use that for some reason, but you end up getting it stuck everywhere and you've got to pick it all off. It's a pain. So yeah, I am going to use the tongue depressors, make a little mould around the edge, mummify it in the vinyl repair tape. I'm going to mix in a little bit of colour because it's a bit beige with this guitar so far, so a little bit of colour on the fretboard, and we'll see where we go from there. Right, and after all of that, complete waste of time. Aesthetically, it is exactly what I wanted. Functionally, it's a banana. Literally. Bowed at both ends and twisted. Oh, let me see if I can show you just how much of a waste of time that is. So, yes, that would have looked absolutely beautiful. I would have been very happy with that, but I can't use it. Now, if it was bowed the other way, I would probably try and glue it on anyway, clamp it down really hard, because if anything that would add a bit of back bow, which would probably do me a favour. But this is a complete waste of time. So we had to have our first failure in this project, and this is it. So yeah. Ooh. So what to do? I'm going to, well, I'll probably speak to the Bun Collective on the Crimson Guitars live stream this evening, see if anyone's come up with some ideas, but I don't think banana, resin and balsa wood fingerboards, fretboards are going to be the way forward. Yes, you're welcome to do I told you so's when it comes to me trying to make a fretboard out of balsa. I didn't think it was going to work either, but the way I see it, I've got the timber there, and that was about £3 worth of Gorilla Glue, so I've not really lost anything. So yeah, please let me know if any of you have any ideas for some cheap alternatives. I could probably just buy a fretboard off of eBay or wherever, but if anyone's got any ideas, I want to try and keep it as cheap as possible. If I could try and salvage something or reuse something else rather than getting a fresh fretboard, I would like it just for the ecological side of things, but at this point, needs must really. So yeah, but anyway, I'm probably going to leave it there and go and cry myself into a bottle of something. But yeah, next time, well, it depends on what I get really. If I find some other option for a fretboard, then I will work on that next week. If not, then I'm going to sort out drilling the tuner holes, start looking at reinforcing the bridge area so I can get that sorted, maybe even making a temporary nut so we can actually try and string this thing up. So we'll see what we come up with. Yeah. So, as always, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. You're more than welcome to leave me a comment. Try and be a bit more original than that weren't going to work, you know. And yeah, I shall see you all next time. Take care, everyone.